Well, this is certainly a tough question to answer, isn't it? After all, the concept of suffering permeates such a large part of our lives that it is practically indistinguishable from our concept of existence. Each day you wake up and have to get yourself out of a nice and comfortable bed, you have to work towards some job, and you have to keep trying even though you don't want to. It's not unreasonable to think that to exist is to suffer. So, why? Why are we forced into this state of unending imperfection? The answer isn't that difficult to actually figure out, and I think that anyone can do it. You just need to ask the right question. So tell me, viewer, why do you do things you don't want to do? Why do you go to work and suffer? Let me guess, you do so because you want money and you need to survive, right? Well, that's a reasonable response, but now tell me this. Why does money even exist? This is a much more difficult question to answer, and you would be correct in saying quite a few statements. Money helps facilitate trade between individuals, money rewards those that work harder than the rest, and so on. However, fundamentally, money is an aspect of trading, and trading exists because there simply aren't enough resources for everyone. Past this point, we can ask the question of why aren't there enough resources for everyone, and while that could lead us down an interesting path, that's not what I want to say. Instead, I want to ask you one last question. How does someone get more resources? A simple answer would be to say people who have inherent traits, but think about it more fundamentally. If everyone lost everything they had and instead got the same resources and the same features, such as intellect and appearance, how would someone get more than others? By this point, I'm hoping someone has gotten it, but if not, then you can relax, because the answer is sacrifice. However, in a world where everyone has the same things to work with, what can you sacrifice? Well, that's simple. Your own morality. In our current civilized world, most of us follow certain principles, such as not killing others. Here, however, we are all equal, and therefore, those that are not hindered by such ideas will be the ones to thrive. After all, there's not enough food for everyone, and those who are willing to sacrifice what others can't will be the ones to have enough. You may argue that we can band together again and regain order, but, well, good luck with that. That order you were familiar with was built up over hundreds of years and was solidified as the only way of living. So, when you are face to face with someone who is willing to kill, you will either fight or eventually succumb. When you can gain an advantage through sacrificing human values, you will either leave it and die to someone who didn't, or you will join them. Eventually, everyone that survives will be the people willing to kill. Still, you may argue that since we are modern humans, we could find order, and you may be right. We are different from simpler creatures like rats, who would, in this example, succumb to such behavior. It's quite likely that tribes would form and civilization would be regained. However, this concept is by no means limited to this example. Even today, in this primarily capitalistic world, it dictates as much as it did in our example. If you are a company competing with other companies, your goal is to somehow be better than them. So what companies prevail? Those that treat their workers poorly and can sell products cheaper. Why do you think so many things come from China? However, as you may have noticed, there's still a reason why the world hasn't collapsed yet, and that's because we still have governments that can reward those in the right or punish those in the wrong. But what happens when the governments are the ones competing? What happened during the Cold War when the two global superpowers had weapons that could destroy the other? To ensure their own survival, they had to match or exceed their opponent and be on the edge of complete annihilation. Regardless of where you go, you can find this idea at work. So, to go back, why do you work? It's because you live in a world where if you don't suffer, someone else will. We all know that if the rich shared their own wealth, everyone could be happy, but that won't happen. Not necessarily because rich people are greedy, but because over hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, every creature on this planet has been optimized for survival. Be it fishes that eat parasites off of the backs of predators, or insects that take control of their prey and subject them to agony. Evolution values them both equally, and our dumb human values of joy and happiness are nothing when the universe is against us. The more you look around, the more you'll see just how everything is shaped by this idea. The idea of Moloch, a deity that gives you power in exchange of human sacrifice. Obviously, this deity doesn't actually exist, but it's a metaphorical god that we are unable to fully define. We can impose our own rules, but there will likely always be ways a corrupt politician or a convincing liar can gain more than what they deserve. Try as you might, you are simply too insignificant to change the world. However, if you haven't yet lost hope, you may still find a path in the other video. This video was heavily inspired by Meditations on Moloch by Scott Alexander, and if you found this video interesting, then I highly recommend the article or the recording of it if you wish to learn more about Moloch. Both are linked in the top of the description.